Alright, welcome back to Nova Gaming. Today I got a little deck tech to speak about my Palpatine deck that I've been posting a little bit about. Uh, I'm listening to is what it's in its current state, but it's also fluctuating as there are a few cards that I'll probably talk about that I will probably be adjusting and changing as I get more games into it. So, I mean, we got, the normal uh, battlefield for Palp. Um, I mean, I like it just because it heals one damage, and most likely I'll be claiming for the most part. So it'll be healing one damage, and at 15, he's the lowest health, I believe, that you can have in the game. So he needs a lot of help. His dice obviously are amazing. Everybody knows what Palp does. Alright, so let's look at some of the events that we have. Alright, so, I mean, obviously, we have a ton of removal, so Feel Your Anger is great. Obviously, it's only great if they're rolling blank, so if they're rolling hot, then this is basically a dead card. Sound the Alarm is great for someone who is rolling hot. You can just play it, have them re-roll everything. Um, but if they are rolling hot, then it may backfire on you as well as roll maybe better, but hopefully it rolls, worse. Um, Deflect. I played two of these. I've seen people play only one. I may take out one for something else. Deflect. I mean, obviously, it only hits maybe half the meta. Um, it's great in a Palp versus Palp deck, but it's still probably a one of just because half of the decks you'll probably play won't run range, and until the meta shakes out, I mean, it may be a two of in the future, but we'll see. Or and we have Doubt. That's basically in every single deck. Basically every deck. Just reroll an opponent's die and then resolve it or remove it. So if they roll anything like a modifier, they just remove it or blank, remove it, and hopefully you're playing this on the best side. So even if they get, say, a Vader has he has a 3, he rolls gets the 2. I mean, you saved 1 damage. Isolation. Again, it's a character die, so it's a little picky on what it can target, but for the most part, a character die may be what you want to remove. Uh, Endurance is an added card from the newest sets, and I find it specifically for Palpatine. So basically, good decks mitigate Palp's dice, and this allows me to re-roll it back in. Overconfidence is one that may or may not be coming out. Um, I mean, I'll trigger it on both of my opponent's die or even one of my die and one of my opponent's die, depending on the opponent's die. Obviously, Palp's dice is usually better than most character die, so you can trigger on Palp's die and um, your opponent's die and hope that Palp rolls a little better so that you remove a die. But again, it's I don't know. So this one may be coming out. May look into some of the newer removal and see what I can get. Enrage again is one of them that may come out. Just, I mean, I don't like injuring my own character, especially Palpatine that only has 15 health. If I have a shield, yeah, I could do it. But for the most part, if it's not a turn one that I've lost the battlefields who have the shields, then it's not something I really want to play late game. And here are my upgrades. Force Throw. It's it's a great die. It's great for removal, so I can remove some of the opponent's dice with this special. Um, without other than the special, it's not the greatest. It's a little expensive, but it is something that I can target with either Sith Holocron or the Rise Again. Have Lure of Power that's most likely coming out. I'm thinking about Dark Council, a little bit cheaper, and I think it runs a little bit better. I mean, I do like this card's dice sides. With Palpatine's dice, anytime you can add a +1 or +2 is obviously great, and it's basically it's a +1 of whatever. So if I'm rolling resources and I need resources, it's just an extra resource, or it's an extra damage. Depending on what I'm rolling, I can choose how I want to deal with this die. So that's one reason I do like it. It's a little bit expensive for what it does, as it only gets +1 for the most part, or a blank. But, I mean, I like it, but it's probably going to come out for Dark Council just because I like Dark Council a lot better. Sith Holocron, obviously, definitely you're mulliganing trying to get one of these purely for a Force Lightning or a Force Throw. Um, Other than that, I mean, it's obvious. It does what it's obviously supposed to do. I mean, it's the special, and everybody knows what Sith Holocron does. That's one reason they made Rend, for this and Force Speed. So I want one of these, at least one of these turn 1. Just because Force Speed helps me speed up a little bit longer, or a little bit quicker, allows me to re-roll and resolve immediately. If I'm not rolling great with Palp's Dice, because Palp's Dice is basically what makes or breaks this deck. If I can get a Force Lightning out, then this die can start doing a ton of damage as well. But yeah, I mean, getting one of these or one of these into the graveyard early can help as well, just because unless I have tons and tons of resources and don't have a Rise Again, I'm almost never going to pay full price for these, unless it's a turn 1 Enrage into Force Throw. But other than that, I'll never, these are basically just toss cards, purely for Rise Again. And then, of course, Rise Again, these 2 cards right here are just cards that help me stay alive. Obviously, Rise Again is almost, you know, it has to be in a Palp deck. It's only for a Palp deck mostly. I mean, I've seen a few of them in other decks, and I'm sure it's going to be in some of the new decks that are coming out. But it's a must-have as 2 of in a Palpatine deck, just because, you know, Palpatine, along with most of these, other than Force Lightning, doesn't use that many resources. So you're mostly saving your resources for removal, or just saving them for a Rise Again, trying to get to 5. Pretty much turn 2, turn 3, when you're probably getting close to 10, depending what deck you're playing. If you're playing a non-damage deck, Rise Again is just a toss card, and you probably may win, just because you can just push out just so much damage. And a Force Illusion may be coming out for something else. I'm not sure what I want to put in. It takes up a slot on Palp that I usually need for, you know, a Force Throw, a Force Lightning, and a Force Speed, or a Lure of Power, Sith Holocron, something like that. It just takes up a space. It's mostly for emergencies. They're playing something that has a large die size, put it out there for protection early game. But other than that, I mean, I might drop it for a 1 of, add some more mitigation, and also look to see in the future. I mean, obviously we have no idea when the next set's going to drop. Just it's Fantasy Flight, you never know. So I'm not sure what new toys Palpatine will get, if he gets anything in the new set, or if it'll be out for regional. Because I think I may be taking a Palpatine deck, just because it's the one I have the most experience running right now, and I think with the new nerfs, he got a lot better. But yeah, definitely tell me about the deck. Let me know, is it a good deck? Is it a bad deck? What should I change out? Because I know Lure of Power is probably coming out for Dark Council. Force Illusion, I gotta look into something I can take out, put in. And then Overconfidence, I'll probably drop for maybe a newer removal spell that's, you know, doesn't require them to re-roll, and maybe they'll re-roll into something a lot better than they already rolled, or maybe I roll bad and they roll, you know, average, and they get to keep their die and I lose my die. So that's something that's not great, but I mean, it's been working for me. But still, it's not as, you know, the percentages just usually aren't great in my favor, and you know, most of the stuff I have has a blank, and I tend to, whenever I overconfidence, roll into a blank, and then they roll into usually a 1 or higher, just so that I'll have to remove my die, so it's not, you know, So, and then Endurance, you know, great card. But yeah, let me know what you think.